Welcome back. Welcome back to another Detroit is Different in Detroit is Different podcast studios. And I have in studio a brother that is definitely familiar with the space. Actually, one of the foundational people coming into space when it got active in 2017. It was not a week where I wasn't in this studio with him, one of our friends as well. But so much into production, so much into promotion, so much into curating experiences that you want to connect to. So with that, Mr. Clever.
What up, though, man? I appreciate you for having me, and like you said, we go way back, and I just wanted to give you your flowers and salute you, man. Like,
Thank you.
but Detroit is different. How hard you've been going with it, being consistent. It's not easy to do this, especially with your own dreams and everybody. Like, you got your little situation over there, your little website, but you've been doing it and been killing it and putting out amazing content. So salute.
Thank you. You're one of the few people that definitely, even as this was getting into a video medium, you've been in that realm of video for a longer time, understanding the scope. A lot of people think that it's just as easy as picking up a phone and getting active with it. And even for those that probably you're following with a phone, it's a lot of steps that go into making this happen, being consistent, putting content together, but it all is an outlet of creativity and connecting to culture, which you're big in as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I think to actually dream is crazy. Like it's really like you gotta have something wrong with you to really like have a dream and do something that you've never seen done before. You don't have mentors in that space. And I salute everybody that's out here that's really doing it and doing it on the level you're doing it on.
Thank you. And with that, always it's rare to like start like that because I'm always the one asking so many of the questions.
Right.
We're going to start the classic Detroit is Different. I know a little bit of the story, but a lot of people don't. And I just know a little bit of it. But your roots to the D. How far back does your family connect to Detroit?
My family connects back to Detroit. My grandmother moved up here. I believe it was in 59. She moved to Detroit in
59.
59. Yep. She moved up here. She had my mother. And we moved over to the 48204, shout out North Line, Joy Road. We stayed over there until I was like 11 years old, but my grandmother stayed even longer than that. Then I moved into Oak Park. So it's just like, I love my city. I love being from here. It's nothing like a Detroit summer. Kids outside, ice cream trucks, like it's where you need to be.
All right, and we share this in similarity, as a lot of people know. This studio was my grandma's bedroom. We are like, we're kids that definitely beloved grandmothers. So you have that strong relationship, as I know just from different stories over time. When I started my garden, you was like, my grandma gonna want some of them greens. You actually were serious about that.
Yes.
And she actually made some and you brought it back over. I was like, wow, she was serious with this. Old school grandmama.
Oh yeah. Like I said, that's my heart, man. I take care of her. My grandmother, we spend a lot of time. It's really not taken care of because she's really lucid. She does everything, but make sure like her whatever needs, her medicine is picked up, groceries or whatever it is that's needed around the house. Like, but yeah, that's my heart. We just spend a lot of time, watch movies and kick it.
So let's start there. Where from? Where did she move to Detroit?
She moved to Detroit from Nashville, Tennessee. Like majority of my family on my mother's side comes from there. My grandfather and my grandmother, my mother's parents, born and raised in Nashville, Tennessee. And yeah, those southern roots.
All right, you ever been down there?
Yes, I go down there pretty often. Shout out to all my cousins down there. All my family is like doing pretty good down there from the creative. And I didn't get to meet a lot of them until a little later on in life because my mom wasn't big into traveling. So once I did get down there, I met my cousins and it was just like I've known y'all for my whole life. That's what it felt like. And it was just instant. And we had same sense of humor, same creative drive, and just dope to see where you come from.
That's dope. All right, so now let's, I guess, get into some of the nuances of getting here in Detroit. You said 48204, definitely that Joy Road community, not far from Rouge. What was it like first, you remember, of that neighborhood growing up till 11? That's a lot of that childhood and those memories.
Well, it was dope and it was normal because that was all I knew. So just being in the neighborhood, my mother is somebody that knows wherever she's at, everybody's gonna know my mother, another strong person in my life. It was just, and she had grew up and lived over there her whole entire life. And my grandfather had bought a house around the corner from his house. They stayed on Cloverline. And bought a house around the corner on Northline, and that's where my mom, had me, and I grew up. And just, just being a kid, just being outside, drinking out the water hose, playing basketball in the street, just knowing everybody over there. And it was like we in the hood, but it didn't feel like that. It felt like it was home. It was home over there.
All right, and then the other balance is, I know it's so close to Rouge. What do you remember about Rouge back then growing up?
Yeah, we well, actually over there it's more so closer to like Dearborn, like where we were over there. But I went to Rouge every now and then, but it was more the Fort Wyoming movie theater, drive-in movie theater over there. We would always get in the back of the like flatbed trucks and
Sneak in.
and
Hilarious.
get back there and just have a good time, and then go on the swing set and be over there. That was like going to Disney World for me as a kid.
Okay. All right. And for people that don't know, it's like I got to contextualize this. So a drive-in was a theater where you can watch in a car. So many car experiences in the city of Detroit are there, like the Swimmobile, the Bookmobile, the drive-in, like the Motor City. I mean, drive-ins existed in other places, but it was a whole thing here where people would just stay and watch movie after movie, bring in some food or go to the concession stands and
Sneak in food.
sneak in some food. Yeah, I guess you're not bringing it in. Yeah, so it's my vehicle. It's my,
right.
But the drive-in experience where like back in the day, you had this big heavy thing that you like put on the side of your car. You could hear the movie.
Yeah.
And you're like watching the movie from a car. That car experience for Wyoming, I think COVID really brought back a lot of people connecting, which now I think you can do it through your through the dial of whatever your radio station is.
They done upgraded where you ain't got to put that big robot radio on the side of your car.
It could break your windshield or whatever. Yeah, so it's like, So that's that connection, your pops, because I know a little bit on that story.
Okay.
What's that side of the family?
As far as lineage or where we're from?
Lineage, yeah.
So on that side of the family, my dad was born and raised here, but my grandfather came from Alabama. I don't know what part of Alabama he was from, and my grandmother came from Georgia, Atlanta, Marietta, Georgia to be exact. They moved here, met in a factory, and had my father. He was the only child, from the 7 Mile area, 7 Mile in the Lodge area on Freeland Street.
That's as Detroit of a Detroit story as ever, because most people come from Alabama or Georgia, then meeting in the factory. That's Detroit right there.
Yeah,
7 Mile Freeland. Okay. All right. So now let's, I guess, growing up, this connection, because the other thing that you're really big into, boxing, and your father actually was a boxer too.
Absolutely.
So your grandmother may be one of the biggest boxing fans, and we've never even talked boxing, but I watch a lot of fights. So if it's a fight and it's worth watching, I'm calling him, and his grandma's in the background calling out the rounds, like almost round by round.
Yeah.
To most times the scorecards where I have.
Yeah, she on it, and ironically, that's not even my father's mother. That's my mother's my mother's mother, and it's just like the whole family is really into supporting boxing. Like my grandfather, my mother's father, and my dad's father, they were invested together in funding, my dad's career.
I never knew that.
So they would come together, and a guy, I cannot think of his name, but he had industrial cleaners downtown, which was eventually tore down due to them building Comerica Park. So he got the buyout from that, but he was one of my dad's biggest investors. So like my dad was really, really, really good at boxing. Went to won the Golden Gloves a couple times, David Lester, and went to the 84 Olympic trials, and was roommates with Mike Tyson, and as they were both trying to go to the Olympics. Neither one of them made it. They I think they both I can't think of the guy's name, but my dad ended up losing one fight before going to the Olympics.
And then within that, Do you remember any of that stories and just watching that training of your father as a kid?
Not really, cause I was so young. That was the '84. I was born in '86, and my dad, he was a heck of a fighter, but he was 3 fights away from a world title fight and end up, getting locked up to a life bid in prison.
Mm.
So those early years, I really don't remember. I didn't really reconnect with my father until I was 11, 12, around
Mm.
that time.
Okay. All right. But the boxing just stays, as you say, in fight because
Mhm.
you may be just like we had this group chat that, any of these fights, like coming up is obviously we're waiting for the Canelo Bud Crawford fight. And
Yes,
we're
yes.
going to talk about that. And actually, we've been talking about that for years about what would happen, but we connect in that. What is your connection as far as like, was it your grandma that taught you? Like, how did you learn so much of it?
I mean, I just knew so much. I would see, like, pictures and things of my father
Mhm.
being, boxing, and it was just like, wow, I really don't know him, but I was allowed to get closer to him.
Through that.
And then when, my father, got home from prison, he was still, like, training,
Mm.
and we would talk about boxing, we would watch fights together, so my core connection to boxing, I just feel like and I stay connected because I feel like I'm close to him. He passed in 2013, but
Condolences.
I feel like, that's what keeps me close to him is just the art of it, and I love the sport, and I mess around with my hands a little bit too, so,
Okay. I got you. I got you. Yes, definitely a heavy bag, speed bag challenge you do not want to take up. You know what I'm saying? As they say, you definitely don't play with it. And now as we can, I guess, move forward even from that and seeing just the training and discipline of that,
Mhm,
you mentioned Oak Park.
mhm.
That's where it connects with I'm speaking to your story, like our mutual friend and Josh Adams.
Shout out to Josh.
Yes, yes, definitely. Another Leo. It's like all that Leo energy. What's
We do it.
Exactly. What was Oak Park like for you? What was that?
Man, Oak Park was a different experience because number one, when you move from I had never heard of Oak Park before we moved there. I would always hear like on, when you watch the news or whatever, they would never mention like in Oak Park is this weather or whatever because Oak Park is so small.
Yeah.
The only time I would ever hear about Oak Park was I saw a Mel Farr commercial.
Mm.
And, he had the Mel Farr dealership in Oak Park. So
Yep.
so when we moved there, it was a little weird. It was quiet all the time out there. No kids was outside like a lot. And I'm just like, where are we at? Everybody's grass is kept up. There's no abandoned houses out here. So I'm like, it's weird over here.
Mhm.
But getting to know and growing and my sister's father let me know he was like, you moving out here is gonna be a situation that is going to be able to elevate you because 'cause you're gonna be around some different type of people and experience some different type of things, and that was one thing he was right about. So I enjoy Oak Park.
Okay. All right. And then just even looking from that lens, right? A lot of those connections that you've definitely kept
Mhm.
as some of your graduation class is, there's still people that are in disciplines and using creativity to move further.
Mhm.
What were some of like, did you see that when you were younger? And I'm speaking to people that I know that were there, but who were some of those people like even when you were going that it's like, okay, we can do something creative here?
Creative wise, Josh Adams. Josh was one of the ones. I thought I was looking at Josh in the 10th grade. He was a senior and he was hosting the pep rally.
Mhm.
I'm like, wow, he had the class laughing and he played on the football team. So I'm like, dog, he's definitely really talented. Who else? My guy Brandon Cooper that was here with you. Shout out to Brandon. He shouted me
Shout
out on
out
the
to Brandon.
interview.
Yeah.
He was always somebody that was into music and we would always have music debates, and back then, even like ninth grade, we would talk about wrestling and all that stuff like that. He was somebody that I'm like a bright mind. Clayton Thomas, who's out here doing this thing, he was all a comedian.
Mhm.
He was always in class making people laugh and doing this thing. Like, yeah, some of the dope boys Cash Out was there too. They were a little bit younger, but
Mhm.
it was a hub of a lot of creative people that I've been knowing for over 20 years, and it's dope.
All right, so like take that same snapshot, and this is why I'm asking that. When you were there, did you like see this journey that I know you started in curating and bringing to life and crystallizing that same creativity for more people to see, like just from your lens? Like, when do you start making this connection that,
Being different or creative.
well, that and also seeing the way that it could be collaborated and it can have larger stages and you can create experiences.
Well, as far as being creative, I noticed that in high school, like I've always been into like clothing and stuff, but I didn't want to always look like everybody else. So I would be designing like shoes, or like I would print out an Air Force One and like color it and take it to Northland and get it airbrushed
Mm,
and come to school with a different outfit, or get a Dickie outfit airbrush with to match the new Jordans that's coming out. So
mm,
that's when I started noticing like maybe I am a little bit different than everybody else. And as far as collaborating early on, I don't think I really took full advantage of that until after high school.
mhm,
But another pivotal moment was comedian Kool-Aid came to our school my senior year,
mm.
and we did a comedy show. It was like for 6 hours, the last hour of the day, you could either go to this comedy show, pay $10 to go to this comedy show, or you can be in 6 hour. I'm like,
It's
yeah,
not even an option.
yeah, let me pay this, couple dollars and go to this comedy show. And I had gym 5th hour, and it took place in the gym. And Kool-Aid coming there loud, and I'm like, who is this dude with a throwback jersey on and all that stuff? It was me and actually Clayton Thomas.
Mm.
We were in the gym, and Clayton was going up to him like, hey, I do comedy, I do this, I do that. And he was talking to me and, laughing, playing basketball with us before the class came in. And he told me, he was like, y'all got a fat security guard here? I'm like, yeah, Coach Stevens. He's like, all right, bet. I'm gonna get him. And
Hilarious.
I'm just like, what do you mean you gonna get him? I'm like, okay. So he was like, you'll see. So we all sat down and the show started. And when he came up and opened up the show, he was like, hey man, I almost didn't make it here on time, man. Y'all security here is crazy. Y'all security here be doing the most. And they wasn't looking for guns and knives, but they was looking for cookies, cakes, Slim Jims, Debbie cupcakes or whatever. Where Coach Stevens at? And everybody in the audience, oh!
Hilarious.
And that was a moment, like, for me that, like, wow, that's what comedy is. Comedy is taking something that you already have and making it relatable to the audience that's in front of you. I was like, that's brilliant. And I've always respected him and looked up to him ever since then.
Well, first off, rest in peace, Kool-Aid. I can tell so many Kool-Aid stories, but before I even get into that space, you move forward in honoring in his passing
Mhm.
a mural.
Mhm.
The mural that sits outside,
Bakers.
the baker's lounge, like I guess what would I say? Like so like the parking lot
Mhm.
facing Baker's where he did his Monday night show that was one heck of an experience. But
Yes.
you see him, and I like the style of the mural too, because it feels joyful,
Mhm.
and it makes you smile.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine if Kool-Aid were here to see it, he would have roasted the whole experience probably for like about an hour, but then like really show some appreciation too.
Yeah. I can imagine him in heaven like, I told you they love me. I got love down there. Look what I got down there. They did a wall for you, boy.
Yeah.
What up, dude?
Yep, yep.
I can
Love
imagine
Kool-Aid,
that.
man.
Yeah.
And you didn't even know my connection with Kool-Aid until which I'm kind of jumping some of the story here. This is when you know the person so well. You all were hosting you did a show with Josh Adams.
Mhm.
And then Kool-Aid was gonna feature. And then when I brought him up, y'all was like, Josh even said, it's like you brought him up like he more important than me. I was
Mhm.
like, that's my guy. I love Kool-Aid. Northwestern. Always one of the funniest people I've ever known, and still very dropped a lot of gems about putting shows together.
Yes.
That some of that I still pick fruit from that tree because it's like, damn, Kool-Aid would say this, and how would this work here? How would
Yeah.
that work there? What needs to be going with timing, keeping this tension on the stage, and just like grabbing and commanding stage presence. And he would sometimes even push me in places. He'd be like, "Hey, you're about to introduce the whole show." I'm like, I ain't no comedian. He's like, go up there and do that.
Yeah. No, Kool-Aid was definitely like, man, I feel sorry for anybody that didn't have the experience to get to know him or know him. Like, he was like a rare gem, especially loved Detroit, diehard. And what I loved the most was, in addition to him being a hilarious comedian, probably one of the funniest comedians to ever come out of this city, he
Yeah.
was a solid dude, and he didn't mind giving up the game. Like, if it's something you doing, it was never no hate. He would always tell you like, "Hey, you could do it this way or this," whatever you pick his brain. Like, and that's rare. Like, a lot of people, are not quick to just give game, especially to people younger. They like, I had to learn it the hard way, so you figure it out. But he was nothing like
Yeah, definitely. And now I'm pivoting back into more of that same story of you connecting to comedy
that. Mm-hmm.
in that same expression of creativity. Because someone else, which I'm not going to go too much into this story because that story was kind of told and you can tell it. But after high school, where are you going? What's on deck for you after Oak Park?
After Oak Park, I wanted to go. Okay, my 11th grade year in high school, I went up to Eastern Michigan University. My best friend Tone, his cousin, shout out to Bianca. She allowed us to come up there and check out the school and just see what it was like to be a college kid. It wasn't no tour, but it was just like, man, like I want to go here. Freedom, you know. It was the older college girls in there. They were like, "You're coming here," and I'm like, "Oh, she cold," and I'm like, "Man, this is what I get to be
There
around."
you go. The incentive. There you go.
Let me
Recruitment.
let
There
me
you go.
go ahead and tighten these books up so I can make sure I'm
Enrollment.
at Eastern. But unfortunately, my senior year in high school, December 4th, 2003, our house burned down.
Mm.
And with our house burning down, we had to move and pivot and stay with my grandparents. And after that, it took a while for everything to settle back. And I'm the oldest, so I didn't go away to school right away. So I just end up going to OCC.
Mm-hmm.
But the blessing into going into OCC was I met one of my closest homies to this day, my dog Markel Lane.
Mm-hmm.
And we were sitting in the cafeteria at OCC. You know, we would just be talking about school, shoes, and clothing. You know, just young teenagers, 18-year-old stuff. And Joe Lawden, or Joe's Coney Island, he came by and handed me a flyer to a party because he used to know me from being at, you know, Fairlane shopping at Four Man, and he passed me a flyer like, yeah, I got a party coming up. You should show up. You should show up, and this, and that. And I was talking to Markel. I didn't know it. I was just like, man, this is what I want to do. I want to get into radio. They got WJLB gonna be there, and this, and that. He was like, wow. It's crazy that, you know, you saying this is what you're into and this is what you want to do. I just got hired at WJLB, and the lady I was working for, Chris Kelly, is looking for an intern to replace me.
Mm.
I'm like, what do I got to do to get in? He said, if you bring me your resume tomorrow, I can send it to her and we can go from there. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll be here. I have my resume. And lo and behold, he turned my resume in. I got an interview at WJLB. I'd always been fascinated with radio because I went to the Detroit Science Academy downtown, which was a school that was a test-in school, and it was a small school that was in the science center. And we would always listen to Mason, you know, going to school in the morning, Mason and Coco, and in the morning. I'm just like, wow, this is amazing. I would love to go to the radio station. And I met Mason at the Detroit Library.
Mm.
And when I met him there, my mom was like, this is my son. He loves the radio station. He really wants to come down there and check it out. She was like, yeah, you could definitely do it. You know, I think Mason had a thing for my mom. So he was like, yeah, here's the warm line number. You can call in whenever, da 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 da. But my mother never took me down there. So since the 4th grade, that's been ingrained in my head. Like, man, I want to check out radio. And through my boy Markel, I was able to get an internship and work under Chris Kelly at WJLB.
Wow. First off, shout out to Chris Kelly.
Rest in peace, Chris Kelly.
Legend when it comes to a lot of the work in urban radio just over time, but definitely this Detroit market.
Yeah.
And going down there, you connect with this job for radio.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna put a pin in that and really even go into just for people to know what that type of tragedy is dealing with. House fire.
Mm-hmm.
Your oldest
Of 3.
sibling in-house.
Yeah.
How are you even managing that for your brothers and sisters? That like, how do you navigate that space for them and even yourself to take that time? And then, you know, parents, like, how are you getting that balance at that young age?
Man, that was something that was kind of rough to deal with. I had never experienced it. You hear about house fires, like, man, that'll never happen to me. It'll never happen to me. And actually, I was in the house when the house caught on fire. It was me, my brother, and my grandfather. And I got home from school, was laying in the bed, And you know how it smells like when somebody turn the stove on and leave an eye on the stove and it smell like something burning a little bit?
Yeah.
That's what it smelled like. I was laying down in the bed after school and my granddad come in the room. I'm in the bed listening to T.I. trap music,
Mm.
with my Discman and my headphones on my ear, but slightly off my ear. And my granddad come in the room and was like, "This house is on fire. Hey, we gotta get out of here. We gotta get out." So I jump up in my drawers, grab my little brother, and grab the phone and try to call 911, a cordless phone, but the house was on fire, so
It didn't connect.
it didn't connect. And we all luckily made it out of there. And it was rough. Like senior year of high school, I was known for like dressing and wearing nice clothes. I had all this money saved up for prom. But instead of, spending that money on prom, I was able to, help give it to my mom to help for
Mm.
Christmas for my little brothers and sisters.
Wow. Now that is one humble deed, especially at that young age, and especially knowing like your fashion is a big part of your expression.
Mhm.
Um, and that's heavy.
Yeah.
That's heavy. And prayers up on that moves. But I did want to highlight that. So what would you say if a person's ever in that space or place? What are the things that you think they should be thinking about in that to not necessarily just stay self-defeated there?
Just realize that they taught me, number one, that things are just things. I like nice things. I try to wear nice clothes or things that I feel are nice. But at the end of the day, long as you got your sanity, your health, whatever, everything can be, you can get almost everything back. So just focus on that and to just be grateful that you're here and that it's a reason that you're here. The firefighter told me that if I would have been in the house 2 minutes longer, I wouldn't have made it out.
Wow.
So with that being said, that it's just like live every day to, your fullest potential, tell your people you love them. It took me a little bit later to understand that as much. I'm big on that now, but to just make sure that, whatever you're trying to do, you're working towards accomplishing that because it's just like no day is promised for nobody. So I was heavy on that from that day on.
Respect. All right, now I'm picking up the pen and radio.
Mhm.
So you get over to the radio station. What's the connection? What's the thought process? What are you doing?
Man, so number one, I was so excited because I was a kid that always my grandmother be like, "Who was that on TV?" I could tell you the actor, where they were born at, what they were in,
And
and
this is like pre-IMDb too.
before all of that, like it's just like I would always be amazed with the behind the scenes, the inner workings of everything. So I'm excited. So when I get to the radio station under Chris Kelly, she's a real, beautiful woman, but she was a boss at the end of the day. So she was stern. I want this done this way. I want this, done the right way. So everything you did had to be on point. I'm
Mm.
down there picking up lunch. I'm
Mm.
picking up lunch. I'm reading off the menu to her. Like, yeah, what do you want? I'm taking her order. I'm going downstairs to the Epicurean kitchen. Getting her lunch, or whether I'm going to Subway if she needed me to move her car. I'm getting copies. We need to figure out what the weather is. This is before the weather app and all that on your phone. I would print out the weather, print out the traffic, and yeah, like doing those things. And she had this thing called the Chris Classified, where she would mention a job that was hiring, and she would go on there and discuss the job and tell Detroit, help them fill the position. Like Detroit, you can get a job here and you can do this there. But I would have to cold call these businesses that were listed in the classifieds that they were hiring. And I realized that number one, more than anything, you gotta learn how to be likable, like over the phone. Or when you're talking to people, even if I'm doing something that's going to benefit them and them solely, you still have to let them know you're a human, be personable, and not say, "Hey, do you wanna be on the radio? Do you wanna do this? Do you wanna do that?" You call and say, "Hey, how you doing? My name is Desmond. I work for WJLB, under Chris Kelly. How's your day going?" "Okay, okay. I noticed in the classifieds you guys are looking to fill 3 or 4 positions. Like, I'm not looking for any money, any stuff, but what we're trying to do is to create opportunities for our listeners. Would you be open to going on the radio and talking about this opportunity you got in order to, get people, to fill that position for you?" And you have to do it in a certain way and be likable in order to convince them to do it, even if it's, for them. And yeah, you learn quick. If she tell you you need you need to set up 10 interviews before the end of the day, and you cold calling all these places or whatever. You have to learn how to put a little bit of, not necessarily finesse, but finesse into, talking and dealing with these people. So that was something valuable that I still use to this day, is just knowing how to communicate with people.
Okay. Definitely a strong skill set. I definitely lean into that gift of
Mhm.
gab as well.
Mhm.
So from that, that's the start of it. What more opportunities begin to present themselves as you start establishing that relationship?
Yeah, from establishing that relationship, down with Chris Kelly, I worked for her for maybe 7 months,
Mhm.
and, she taught me a lot. I knew the structure of how the show needs to be produced, how to be a producer, and she was like, "You wanna be a radio personality, I'm going to, sit you down with somebody that's more like you and more your lane," and that was, Dr. Darius.
So before we even go there, talk a little bit about the structure of a show in production. As one of the number one things that I always uplifted in podcasting is a podcast will be better with a producer. Now, even as I'm saying that, I host and I produce most of my own show. It's different because I come with my radio, TV experience. Like,
Mm,
I've been doing a lot of this stuff way longer than y'all could even imagine.
mhm.
And even with that, a producer helps piece that together. And I always uplift to so many people that want to get even in this space. Like, if you get a producer, it will heighten the quality of a product.
Fact.
This was a debate that I had with our mutual friend Josh, probably over the span of like 4 years. And he was like, I don't want to do all that. It got to. And I'm like, I'm just telling you, if you want it to be a better production,
Yep.
having a producer helps deliver. So can you please give the P's to the role of what a producer does for a show?
Well, what a producer basically does is the knowledge and the information for the on-air talent. So the on-air talent is going to bring the personality, they're gonna be knowledgeable about certain stuff, but at the same time, the producer's job is to bring stories to their attention, like, "Are you aware that this is going on?" Like when Proof passed away, like, I had to find out all the information on what happened to him. That was one of the first things I did when Jay Dilla passed away. I'm
Mm.
searching online, finding out what's going on, like, hey, then also little tidbits like, "Hey, did you know that it's Stevie Wonder's birthday today?" So that maybe we could, fit a Stevie Wonder song in, and, the producer just create the structure and the flow of the show. As much as we don't like to admit it, but as people, we're creatures of habit, and we like some form of structure. So things need to run a certain way so people get used to it and they'll tune into your show.
Can you talk a little bit about the role of producer and guest?
Okay, yeah. With as far as producer and guests, like the Chris Kelly will let me know like who's coming in, or even I will book guests. I would end up booking guests through connections I had, or through figuring out, like, somebody's gonna be in town, how to get that guest there, and also helping structure, like, the questions that they're gonna answer, that the guests are gonna answer, and I think in order to do that, whoever you're interviewing, for that brief moment of you, setting up the questions and interviewing, you have to become a fan of that person for that time being. Like, you have to actually, like, be not necessarily a fan, but be interested in who that person is, what they're doing, and that's how you get the best questions. That's how you get the best interviews. So you help, learn how to write questions out for the on-air personality to ask the guests, write them in shorthand form, so that way you don't have whole paragraphs, but you got just enough information for that person, the personality, to be able to, conduct that interview.
And I uplift this even in podcasts, and it may be even more so, but also just prepping the guests and knowing what boundaries too.
Yeah.
Because I want to say the larger the celebrity of a person,
Mhm.
usually the more of everything comes. They're
Yeah.
coming in with more people,
Yeah.
what they want to talk about, how they want to talk about it. The time can be like real restricted because they're, from the airport to the sound check to come on, meet with you, and then they're going.
I got 3 radio stations I gotta visit and all that stuff.
So it's like the producer usually is that intermediate that you can serve as a role of having the guests feel welcome.
Yeah, you set the tone for, whatever's gonna happen during that interview. And like you said, like, entourage, like T.I., when T.I. came, he came with like maybe 10 or 12 people, but it's just like, well, that's not the best for the studio. So you have to, talk to them like, hey, hey, Tip, I want to make sure your manager's in here, this person in there, but everybody else, would it be okay if we, set them up in the green room? And hey, after you leave the interview, we need you to record radio station drops where you shout out,
The radio station.
radio station, the people that's a part of the radio station, and just you build that type of bond with the guest or the artist that's coming in. And because you, like I said, you set the tone. And yeah, that's pretty much the role of the producer. And then no matter whatever else, if they're looking for something, if this person like, hey, I'm in Detroit, I ain't never had a Fago. Okay, let me make a phone call to get you a Fago here if we don't have any in the vending machines. And just you are the person, the right hand to the radio personality, and you're going to do whatever is necessary to produce the best product, the best show. That's it.
Mhm. And it can also escalate as like podcasting and radio, definitely different mediums.
Mhm.
But this does happen as more podcasts start doing live experiences too. Sometimes that guest that comes to the station early also may be doing a show or an
Mhm.
event or something else. So like really being that producer setting the tone throughout the day. Because if the interview goes bad,
It could go over into the show. So yeah, and like you said, you are just to make sure that it goes as smooth as possible. You try to avoid as many hiccups as you possibly can. Yeah, it's going to be hiccups because people
yeah,
are
it's,
people.
it's
There's going to be
humans.
mistakes, but the more you limit, those mistakes or those miscommunications, the better you will be in the longevity of your career in radio.
Okay, so now let's go into, like you say, you sat down with Dr. Darius,
Right.
shout out Dr. Darius, and had a discussion about on-air talent.
Mm-hmm.
What was that feel like? What was the scope?
It was dope because he was somebody that actually loved radio and he loved the science of the radio. He learned everything from Reggie Reg, and he would always tell me these dope stories, the theater of the mind, how to make it seem like, if you win a car and dangling car keys, it's not the brand new car you dangling, it's your keys or whatever, but in the theater of the mind, like, wow, he got the keys to the car up there. Or if you're talking about radio, yeah, we got these tickets, da 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 da. They may not have the tickets in hand, but it's a lot of magic and a lot of things behind the
It's
doors.
speaking of that, another friend we know in comedy mutually. It's so funny. Foolish would be telling sometimes some stories. It'd be like, "Would nobody be at the club?" This is my
Yeah.
crazy Foolish impersonation.
Yeah.
Shout out Foolish. I love Foolish.
Yeah.
And then he'd be like, "But you be on the air like it's everybody in here."
Yeah, you gotta sell the magic. You have to definitely sell the magic. It's that's what radio is. And if you want people to be there, and if it's not, you can't be like, yeah, ain't nobody down here. Would y'all please come down here? So you have to
Yeah.
sell that dream a little bit.
Definitely. All right. So from radio, where I know you end up delivering your own promotions.
Right.
What's the relationship there? Do you take any of the contacts? Do you take any of that support? How do you now get into promotions yourself?
Absolutely. From WJLB, I end up going over to in 2008. What was that? What day was that? But it was whatever the day Barack Obama was inaugurated.
Mhm.
iHeart let go of 1,500 people 5,000 people worldwide.
Mm.
But they did it on that day because it was so much media coverage based on,
Barack Obama.
Barack Obama. And from that, I had to step away from radio for maybe like a year. I started working at a family's friend's auto repair
Mhm.
place. I
Business.
don't know
Yeah.
nothing about cars like that, but I'm just like, I need
You're
money.
working.
I
Yeah.
need money. And through that, one of my homegirls that worked at WJLB with me, shout out to Crystal Staffney. She was like, "What you doing right now, Des?" I'm like, "I'm out here just trying to figure it out." And she was like, "Well, I'm over here at Hot 107.5. Well, it was Hot 102.7 at the time."
Mhm.
And she was like, "I'm the promotions director over there. If you want to come over there, I got an opening. All you got to do is, apply."
Mhm.
So I applied and I was able to get over there. And through that, I was meeting people on both sides of radio. And the beautiful thing about radio is everybody comes through radio, whether it's the hottest street dude or if it's a politician that's trying to, run for
Yeah, running for office.
Like it's everybody comes through there. So I had a good melting pot of dope people that I built relationships with over the years. And as far as when it came to like throwing events, I was like, man, I had hosted open mics. Shout out to the conglomerate DJs, Big Dog Blast.
Mhm.
I've thrown parties with a party group that I was doing stuff. Ponce de Leon. Shout out to Dan and shout out to Tony Power. We were doing our things throughout the city. We had a lot of great parties.
Mhm.
Everybody would come to our parties from the T Woods to everybody.
So, talk about the elements that you put into delivering a good party. What are you looking at even from venue? What are you looking at to, like, set the ambiance? What goes into the elements of a good party for you?
What goes in number one is like, man, is you gotta have a good DJ. Like, I think the DJ sets the tone for everything. We had DJ Platinum, and then the venue, like, finding somewhere that no one had ever partied at and creating an experience there, and, like, letting people know, like, "Oh, you don't know about this venue? Oh, you better come over here. You missing it."
Why is it key to introduce people to a new space?
I think because everybody throws parties. Like, it's a lot of back in that time, like, everybody wanted to be a promoter, and by everybody being a promoter, it's just like if I be like, "Hey, we gonna do a party at the shelter or at St. Andrews." It was, I done been to a million parties at St. Andrews, like, why am I going to give you my Saturday night and do experience a party here when I could do 50 other million other things? I've done that before.
Mhm.
So, creating a new experience, finding out a new restaurant that'll allow us to throw a party in there and also, getting the women out. Getting the women out, we would go out and talk and flirt and build relationships with women and make sure that women were there. If I found out if you make sure that the women are there, everybody will be there. So,
Okay. All right. So what give me this whole scenario is still gonna be classic for it.
okay.
But what's the approach to when you see attractive woman, you think she'd be interested in coming to the party? What's your pitch to get them to come to the party as opposed to just the pitch of like, she fine, let me get her number anyway. But what's the pitch?
I mean, you see somebody out like, "How you doing?" Introduce myself to her and wherever we at, make small talk about that, and then be like, "Look, I throw parties. I did this with the comedy show. This was my pitch for the comedy show. I would see, I printed up tickets. Number one, I had tickets printed up for the comedy show, the Going Up comedy show, and just would approach and be like, 'How you doing? What's your name?' Da da da. "Oh, okay, you been here before?" Had a small talk, and be like, "Look, I have comedy shows. I do comedy shows. I would love for you to be there. I have a ticket for you if you go, but I don't want you to take my ticket unless you gonna make sure you gonna show up. Would you do that for me?"
There you go. There you go.
So she'd be like, "Are you gonna be on stage?" I'm like, "Well, you have to show up to find out. You'll see."
There you go. All right. I like it. I like it. It's a good pitch. It's a good pitch.
I
And
mean,
obviously it was successful.
yeah, we had a lot of women at the Going Up comedy show.
You sure did. You sure did. And that was shocking to most people because comedy, you're used to seeing a lot of couples, older couples, and other comedians. That's usually what a comedy show is.
Yeah, and during the time that we were doing the Going Up comedy show, like the party crowd wasn't going to comedy shows at all. Like I
Mm-mm.
feel like we set the tone for that in the city of Detroit to where people that were going, of course, Kool-Aid did his thing at the River Rock. He did a comedy show on Tuesday night.
Mhm.
But after that, years later, like it was like a big gap that
Yeah.
people weren't really going to comedy shows like
Yeah. It's a window where a lot of people like Mike Larry, Josh, Adams, Heather J talk
CP.
about, yeah, CP, Blackberry, like it'll be spoken to like after Coco's closes.
Mhm.
You get like for comedy of Detroit, black comedy, it's not like the venues kind of become a lot of the bars in the neighborhood, like the
Yeah,
Mandy's and shout out to Mandy's too. It becomes that feel,
right.
which is a different feel because it's like then like the shows that were definitely produced with it's going up.
Yeah, and the thing about, like, those bars and they would have, like, a comedy night, but people weren't going there for comedy. Like, people go to Mandy's to drink,
Mhm.
but that was something that had to be built up, and then they started building that hood crowd and become the spot where people, would
Yeah.
go to,
Mhm.
which has always been dope. Mike Larry has always killed it, at
Mhm.
Mandy's and doing his thing, but I think what separated, going up from the Mandy's and those rooms is, by me working in radio, I had all the cool kids there. So
Mm.
I had people that had never been to comedy shows. All the pretty girls, like, I've never, like, what? Like, is it Kevin Hart or is it this people? I was able to pull those people into the show. They trusted me enough to come and experience it, and they just kept coming.
All right, and that was, man, you guys were running a weekly, right?
Yep, a week.
So a weekly night, for anybody that knows promotions, a weekly night might as well be a daily night because it's like you're working that fast. As I've uplifted this, and we've had these discussions before, when you do promotions, like my brother called me today about like, what do you think if the fundraising for this of a show? And it's like, when you run a weekly, I think a good fan will probably come see somebody like an act if they're like a promotion of an act, like once, twice a year. A really great fan, maybe 3, 4 times a year.
Right.
The average fan, maybe once every like half every other year. You know what I'm saying? So you have to offer people something different to keep them connected to an experience. Because when you have a weekly, you're not necessarily selling who's on stage as much as you're selling an experience.
Right, you selling the vibe, and you're actually courting, you're dating these people.
Yeah.
Because at the same time, it's just like they're spending their time with you, and to get them to go out on another date, keep them to go on another date to come support you in what you're doing, like, you have to make them feel welcome. You have to make them get an experience where, they couldn't get anywhere else, and I always wanted to make sure it was affordable. A little bit too affordable, but make sure it was affordable where people could come out, go on a cheap date. You're gonna have a good time. I had chefs upstairs. We always had good food. You had the bar, and it was always a venue where people had never experienced comedy, one there, or they had never been to that venue before.
Definitely, you introduced me to some rooftops and some things where it's like, yeah, I ain't never even been here. And this is middle of Greek town, you know?
Like,
And then how long was that run?
that run was from 2015 through end of 19 or early COVID.
Wow.
Yeah.
And also, like, I know it when it ended, like seeing Just Niche
Mhm.
early on, where you like, yo, Just Niche is one of those ones. And you meet
Mhm.
some of these other comedians along the way with that run. W- what's the Can you talk a little bit about how you over that time, what did you learn about just the Detroit audience and offering things to the city of Detroit?
Well, I learned that, as people, like mentioned, we're creatures of habit. So people were used to going to parties. Like, you have to explain why things are dope. Like, and I take any creator that's out there, to whatever your vision is, whatever your idea, it's okay to tweak it, but stick to your guns. And if you believe it's dope, don't let the rest of the world tell you like, no, or make you feel like what you're doing is crazy, because crazy is where evolution happens. So, like, people weren't doing comedy shows. Like, look, I know Josh is one of the funniest comedians in the country. I know that I love to laugh. I know that's something I could bring my mother out to. I don't want to do no rap show. So it's like, okay, let's do a comedy show on a rooftop with a live band. That had never been done before, but sticking to our guns and promoting it allow people to come and experience it, and just to build relationships with people over and over. Like, just to make sure that you continue to build with the comedians, or whatever industry you're in, just make sure you're building those relationships and be willing to collab and to, yeah, just know what works and what not, and don't be afraid to tweak it once you realize, like, okay, this could be better. Like, we went from doing the weekly comedy shows to, after like 2.5 years, like, maybe we can do it once a month.
Mm. All right. So, and then also in talking pivots, I'm talking so much about the promotions and the radio. You also have other creative offerings like Clever TV,
Yeah.
what you've done in fashion and different works like that. Talk a little bit about some of the other creative works, especially when it gets into content creation, and what was your approach with that?
Okay, so as far as content creation, I started a company in 2010. We did our launch in 2011, and we did our launch in 2011, called Clever Vision. Because my thing was working in radio. The great thing about WJLB back then was, this is where you hone all your skills. You get the correct knowledge. You learn how to properly produce a show. You learn how to properly run a board. You learn how to come up with questions. You learn how to do all these things, but during that time, it wasn't many opportunities for a young radio personality to get on air. So I was running around like, man, like when am I gonna get my opportunities? I have all these dope interviews, and the thing I did not like about radio is before I'm like, hey, I want to interview Khary from Detroit is Different on a radio station. That has to be approved by people,
Mm-hmm.
and I have full
Control.
full control, but full confidence in what I feel is dope.
Mm.
What I feel is the thing that people need to be focused on. And I know not everyone has that vision. So I'm not gonna let anyone stifle my creativity. So with that, I'm like, okay, well, I'm focused on getting on air in Detroit. Why focus on Detroit when I got the whole wide web?
Mm.
So I started clevervision .com. And through my relationship with radio, I was able to, get content and get opportunities that an average person starting a podcast or starting an interview series wouldn't be able to get.
Yeah. And now as you kind of like look back at that, and I remember the time you guys pulled up to like when I was doing my follow the leader
At Focus
hip
Hope.
hop leadership workshops.
Yep.
Yep. And just like even in that work, putting in that time then, fashion is also one of those things that you've connected in too.
Yeah, like I said, that's always been my expression. Like I always know if I look good or like the way I look, that, I'm going to be my best. I'm going to, like they say, like Deion Sanders said, come on, baby, if you look good, you feel good.
Feel good, they pay good.
If you play good, they pay good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that being said, I always like, fashion, going back to the era of hip hop. It's weird to say it now, but the bad boy era of hip hop, they were known for clothes and doing their thing, and it was just like, wow. Then watching Fresh Prince, that was an early influence. Watching Martin, these people were always dressed dope. The Fresh Prince character was a big influence on my life. He was always dressed well, and he was very intelligent, and he always had the women. So I'm just like, okay, cool. That's something I want to do. So with that being said, I would, create, clothing, and I've even been in works with different brands like Adidas. I got some things I'm in the process of presenting to them of a shoe I created, I've designed, and yeah, man, like that's something that's big to me is storytelling. I realize that more than anything in this world, I'm a storyteller. I'm somebody that appreciates the value of the story, and I realize that if anyone takes the time to hear the story, or see the story from my lens, they'll appreciate it.
All right. So now let's get to today.
Okay.
Couple years back, you started a group. You were even asking me, "Hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of that?" And you built a cohort of brothers,
Yeah.
fellowship, like
Yep.
fellas ship together,
Yep.
like fellowship, but fellas, like it's dope.
It's kind of clever,
Yeah. It's dope. It's dope. And I've been to like maybe always my time. I've been to maybe about 3 of the sessions, but it's definitely a unique bond that you're building with a lot of brothers in community across different backgrounds too. What was the catalyst for this?
Well, before COVID, the place where men would come together and we would really talk and kick it, and you find out about stuff that's going on in pop culture, or a way to get a PlayStation for cheap, or a way to do all that was the barbershop.
Yeah.
That was the home for those conversations. But unfortunately, after COVID, a lot of barbers went to appointment only. So you wouldn't be in a barbershop on a Saturday morning where it's 20 people in there. You may get 2 or 3 people in the barbershop, and I'm just like, I went to a appointment. Shout out to Leon Cotton, my barber.
Yeah, and at one point in time, he was cutting my hair too. Shout out to Mr. Cotton. Look, I need to get Leon in here one of these days.
So one day, Leon was running behind, and I went to the barbershop, and it was like 6 or 7 of us in the barbershop, and we was just kicking it, just all men. We was just talking about everything from women, to marriage, to your credit score, to all that stuff. And it was just like a fulfilling feeling, like, man, I miss this. I need this. And so I like I mentioned to you, working in radio, like I've been blessed to meet a lot of dope men and a lot of dope people in general, but in this position, males, a lot of males. And I'm like, man, like I know all these people individually. Like I want to figure out a way to bring these dope brothers together from all different walks of life. So we had everywhere from brothers that did a brother in the group that did 30 years in prison to a third year architect student. So it's a wide barometer of different men in the group, but all good brothers. It's invite only. We meet together one Sunday out of the month. If you know Khary, you may be able to. If he vouch for you, you may be able to come to a meeting or something like that. But yeah, man, we talk about everything from man's mental health. We check in with each other, see how we're doing. We talk about credit, we talk about fashion. We have a different topic every month, and it's just to check in on each other. The group, the slogan for the fellowship is "We're in this ship together. We're all in this ship together." And go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, man. It's a great group. I can definitely say you feed the people.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? It's produced well. A lot of love and energy in there, in the room every time I've been. And also, I was humbled as you were like putting the idea together that you reached out to me and was like, "What you think of this?" And I was like, "Okay, this is humbling." And then I gave what my opinion was, like I will always do.
mm-hmm.
And even my session, we were talking a lot about politics.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out Brandon Jessup,
Yep.
Conyers Jr.
Yep.
Yeah, it was it's a very progressive, constructive thing that you're doing with that. What has it been as you've executed that? How has that impacted just how you're looking at things?
Man, it's been a blessing. Like I didn't know how to put it together or what. I just knew it was needed. So whenever I know what's needed when the situation, I just bring everything that I can bring to it. And I let people know, like, look, I need y'all. This is not my group. This is our group. And it's just dope to see brothers that never knew each other. Now they got close relationships. And I was watching one of the members has a podcast. He brought on another member of the fellowship
That's cool.
onto the podcast, and I'm just like, man, like we're building these bridges like that need to be built amongst men, and we get this stereotype as black men that we don't work together.
Mhm.
So, and it's not only just black males, but it's
Black people.
black. Well, yeah, we don't work together, but I'm just saying the fellowship is not limited to a color, or a race or a religion or a background or anything like that, but we get the stereotype that we don't work together. So I wanted to create, that synergy between brothers that may not know each other. And one thing I've been blessed that people trust me and they trust my opinion on stuff. So if I vouch for somebody, people are more willing to give them a try.
That's cool.
So with that being said, that like it's needed. We just need to continue to grow in strength. And it's only two requirements to be in the fellowship. One, you have to be a man of integrity. And two, you have to be somebody that can add value to the room. We don't want nobody a part of anything. If you feel like you don't have any value to add to the room, that means you have to do some more work on yourself. So once you get in there and, we just respect and love each other and we check on each other and we build.
Definitely. Still like pulling some stuff. It was like, okay, that grooming, I was there for one of the grooming, and it's like, okay, think of this, think of that, think of this. But yeah, it definitely does make a difference. So people thinking it's like, all right, you always trying to get more fly now. And it's like, that had a whole lot to do with it because it does change the way people interact and engage with you.
Yeah.
Like not saying I don't think I ever was like going out looking crazy per se, but definitely it's like, yeah, the same, my pajama t-shirt and my pajama hoop shorts. Let's go on and go to the grocery store. I just got to make one run. You don't know who you gonna bump into.
Exactly. And
That'll be that one person that it's like, wow, it'll just be in the back of their mind, that impression of like,
yeah. And what a lot of people, don't tend to realize is that perception is reality at that point.
you got that right.
Like if you've never met this person and you see somebody out at the club and they throwing up at the club, you're like, oh, they always drunk. It could have been a one-time experience, but
It could have
that's
some
that
bad
perspective.
food. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I mean, even it's like more than even just the first impression. Even if it's a bad, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, damn, I thought he just was up. Now he looking down. And it's
Right.
like, oh, I was just cutting the grass today.
Right.
I just happened to make another run to the grocery store. It's
Yeah.
like,
So it don't have to be $1 million what you got on, just as long as you got pride. And I always would teach my sister that, like, whatever dude you out here dating, just make sure that they take care of themselves. Like they put effort into how they look, how they appear. Because if they don't care about how they look or how they appear, then how can they really care about you?
That's deep. All right. So as we getting closer to a close, man, you hit me up. You was like, yo, it's time for this.
Yeah.
I don't know what other message or what you want to speak on, but this the space.
Man, just pretty much just over the years, and one thing that I'm done and we're doing with the fellowship is building a team, and I realized that I've done a lot of things in the entertainment space, and they have been, I've played the background, and I've done that, and I realized that I gotta make sure that I'm working with people that wanna see me win just as much as I wanna see them win.
Mm.
So that's, my thing, telling everybody, all you visionaries out here is just, like, make sure you building a team. You building the right people around you that can support what you got going on. They don't have to have all the answers or whatever, they just have to be willing to be in support of what you're doing. If you got a crazy idea, you need at least 3 people to be able to call. Like, I was able to call Khary, like, "Hey, what you think about this fellowship idea?" And even if they don't know how to facilitate or bring it to life, don't let them talk it down. I have a rule also that I believe that, if I come to you with an idea, if you don't know how to add value to me, don't tell me how something is not gonna work without trying to provide a solution and to make it work.
It's so funny. Like, well, boy, my rapper days, stuff you learned back when we had our track cave group. It was like, look, we welcome solutions, not suggestions.
Yes.
And part of being a solution is being in the mix of bringing it to life.
Yes.
And as much as that's a principle that I developed, I don't know, maybe 2003,
Mhm.
the more that I'm moving into spaces and managing more, I respect and humble myself to more and more and more each day. Because it's a lot of stuff where it's like, well, this could have this could have that. And then I step back and I think to myself, like, the logistics of all of those suggestions I got, and I'm not willing to put myself in any of the solution places.
Mm.
You know what? I'm going to accept this for what it is because it's a grander vision to get in place. We're fresh off the collard green cook-off. So it's like, hearing, getting that feedback and everything and just realizing like, okay, certain positions that I thought one person could do 2 jobs, maybe one person doing 1 job.
Right.
As much as I'm thinking that like, that's pretty easy, but pretty easy when you get that rush of people and what we want to do and what the delivery is, let's help that experience. So
Yep.
it's nuances like
Yeah, like you said, I mean, like I was saying earlier, the power of the team, and it's a lot easier to hold people accountable if they got 1 job, 1 task.
yeah.
Like if your one job was to clean off a table, and if we come in there and the table is not cleaned off,
Yeah.
you're not doing what you're supposed to do. But if you out here cleaning tables, you out here
Getting the water, getting the food, sweeping the floor.
So what you want me to do, baby? I got
Yeah.
all this going on, and
Yep. Yep.
So it's like you said, it's just building a team and building the right people around you and people that want to see you win, as much as you want to see them win. Dame Dash used to say he liked to have women around him because it's no ego and they're willing to support the vision and they're not trying to be the top dog.
I would say, I don't know, because I mean, I got a team of a lot of like, it's interesting. This is interesting. We're to that point in this conversation. So this is wisdom to me now and hopefully even for the future.
Mm-hmm.
I always, when I had my band, I never surfed in my life, but you want to ride a wave. But it's so tough to ride the wave because,
What do you mean by that?
meaning you want to ride that wave of victory.
Mm-hmm.
So even in delivering something with your team, it's still an experience.
Mm-hmm.
You can pay people. I know this is going to sound crazy, and I'm definitely not saying this from like, I don't have Elon Musk money in my bank account or anything, but money has a diminishing return after a while.
Mm.
After a couple of checks, people kind of go back to whatever they were going to do. People want to feel a part of something,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to feel that whatever they're a part of, their role is important to whatever that something is delivering.
Yeah.
So with that, I say this.
I got a quote too about that.
I think like your MVP, like let's say we do something on the 1st, the 5th, and the 15th. Your MVP on the 1st could be the player that fumbles the ball on the 5th,
Mm-hmm.
and it'd be an okay player on the 15th.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have the bandwidth also to know that like everybody's motivations, we talk so much about mental health, but like just life in general, life be lifing.
Right.
How things may connect of like where the venue is and how things are or everything else going on. Like the structure of the team is to move forward with the right attitudes and energies, but also have the bandwidth to know that like it's gonna be some fumbles, it's gonna be
Right.
some interceptions. We all have to have some accountability about that,
Right.
but we also can't push people to the edge of saying, you know, let's cut this out anyway. Because back to that experience and that energy and that wave, the minute that the wave of I've been keeping it clean, but I don't know other way. The minute a wave of some bullshit starts, just the way that we're conditioned with things now, that bullshit can become a tidal wave very fast. Way faster than what it took to create a tidal wave of that strong core. I want to be a part of this experience.
Yeah.
So I'm looking to, and I can't control everything, but I'm definitely looking to offer my vibes to something where I'm not walking in the door with some of that bullshit myself.
Yeah, no, and it's true what you say. It's hard to build that team and to find that core. But once you start developing that, I think it's all about how you start, the foundation of it. And I realize that people do things for one or two reasons. They either want to be appreciated or they want to be compensated. If you don't have one of those two things, you feel like you've been taken advantage of.
That's
So
deep.
so with that being said, I enjoy what the Detroit Lions do at the end of a game. Dan Campbell, the coach of the Detroit Lions, he gives out 3 game balls. So if you do an event and there's somebody that you're noticing in there that's a part of the team that's doing it, busting their ass to make it happen, make sure you shout them out and let it be known. Look, I want to shout out to Khary. Khary's been going crazy with this event. Like he's been a huge success to this, and I think that goes a long way. Like just showing that appreciation to the people a part of the team, and money doesn't hurt either. So make sure that um a good sales pitch will get people to be a part of something. But I think compensating them in whatever ways that you can, keeps them a part of it.
Yeah, it's the offering and consideration. Cause I mean, the event was Saturday. I'm giving thank you calls Saturday night, Sunday to Monday. You know, today is Tuesday. I'm sure I got some more thank you. I gave some today too. I got some Wednesday and the more and more because the thank you, it goes far.
Yes.
So now we at a close, man. Classic Detroit is different questions. But before that, if a person wants to connect with you, how do they connect?
Man, you can reach out to me on Mocal Space, Black Planet. No, I'm just playing.
Hilarious.
You can reach out to me on all social medias. It's Clever the Great, or just look me up as Desmond Clever Lester on Facebook. That's my government name, Desmond Lester. So Desmond Clever Lester on Facebook. But get at me.
All right. With that being said, your very first car, year, make, and model, and year you got it.
Very first car was a 88 Ford Thunderbird.
Okay. All right.
Yep,
Was it clean?
No.
It had better days.
It had better days, but I had a cold radio in there.
Hey, there you go. Had sound.
I had cold radio. It wasn't sounds yet. We didn't get to the sound. That didn't get to the 96 aluminum. But that was in 2005. I got that car. It had a gas leak. It was out here bad, but it got me back and forth to my first job, Farmer Jack, in 2005.
There we go. Where's the first place you went when you got it?
First place I went when I got we took a gamble. We went to Joe Dumars. Joe
D.
Yeah, I was back in my hooping bag back then, so we used to go out to Joe D every weekend.
Joe D Fieldhouse.
Yep.
The one that was way out.
The one that was way out that you had to have license and.
You definitely wanted to make sure you were a
upstanding citizen.
You got that right. All right. Next question. You're the DJ at the fireworks. You get to play 2 songs. It's the end. Woodward to Jefferson. What songs you playing?
What song am I playing? We can go as hood as we want to go.
Whatever you got.
Shout out to my Rock Bottom family. Can We Party?
Okay, I'm with it.
Can We Party? And also, let me see what else I'm gonna play. Just Blade, Boss Up and Get This Money.
I'm with it. All right, stay in Detroit through and through, Rock Bottom, and other West Side. Representatives, definitely.
Yep.
Lay, rest in peace. And we close with this. If you could rename Woodward after one Detroiter, who would it be and why?
Wow, that's a dope question. If I could rename Woodward after one Detroiter, who would it be? It'll probably be Coleman Young.
Okay. Most answer. Why for you?
I think that he was, himself, unapologetically himself, and he was for, people of color and putting people of color in positions to win. So I rock with Coleman.
All day. I'm with it too. Thank you so much. And this definitely ain't gonna be the last time. You should have
Not at
been
all.
on here anyway, but yeah, we're gonna be rocking and rolling again. Thank you so much.
Oh, peace.
Peace.